Hi, my name is Sasha. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing my wrap up for April. I almost said May because all the months are blurring together. I passed my owls. I'm so happy. I am this much closer to becoming, what did I choose? A librarian. I almost forgot. Oh gosh. Today is the day. If you hear rain in the background, it's because it's raining. I'm very sleepy. You know how it is. So, the first book I read in May was a 5-star, and that is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. I read this for the Ancient Runes prompt, which was for the heart rune, to read a book with heart on the cover or in the title. And this is about Nick and Charlie who meet in school. Charlie is, I believe, out and gay, and Nick is questioning his sexuality, and they become friends. And it's so beautiful. I love them. I love them so much. I love them. My boys. My sweet baby boys. So yeah, I gave this 5 stars. I'm going to talk more about it in my next, the last 5 graphic novels I read installment. Because I've read 3. I'm on my 3rd. And yeah, I will talk more about it then. The next book I read was Rebel by Beverly Jenkins. I read this started with an A. Did it? Arithmancy. I read this for arithmancy, and that was the magical qualities of 2 opposites, and the prompt was to read a book that's out of your comfort zone, or a genre you don't usually read. And I picked romance because I don't usually read a lot of romance, or at least not straight romance. And so this was actually so good. I gave this 4 stars. This was like, okay, so that's Val. She comes to New Orleans to teach after the Civil War ends, to teach the freedmen. That is Drake. He is a captain in the army and an architect, and he saves her from terrible men who try to hurt her. So, trigger warning for sexual assault in this book. And the romance is so sweet, and the setting is gorgeous, and I only had a couple problems with it, but I'll talk more about that in a review. It was just really sweet and good, and I'm finding that I really enjoy romance, which is not something I ever expected to find out about myself, but I'm guessing that I just didn't read enough of it to care. But I am very satisfied with all the romance I read lately, and I plan to read more. Probably more by Beverly Jenkins. She's a great author. She's been doing this for a long ass time, and she knows her craft. So the next book I read what was it? I can't remember anything. My head empty, no thoughts. It's for History of Magic, and that was witch hunts, to read a book with witches or witches in it, and that I read The Last Witch by Andrei Sapkowski. I gave this 2.5 stars. I am going to continue with the series. I liked all the short stories, like all of them. None of them were bad, but one was. One I didn't like very much, but it wasn't bad per se. It was just not like the show, so I was kind of thrown for a loop. There's more violence in it than I was expecting, it's a fantasy world, so of course there's going to be violence. But anyway, cutting off my ramble there, I just did not enjoy the writing style. I thought it's so dialogue packed that actions that should be outside of the dialogue happen inside of the dialogue, so you're like, what is going on? Like, they say, oh, don't make that face. And I'm like, what face? What face are they making? Or like, don't get up. I'm like, why are they getting up? He doesn't explain anything. It's just in the dialogue. And it's frustrating. But there's also so much rape in this. Like, there's not like explicit on-scene rape, but it's talked about like in every other story, and it's not every fantasy world has to have rape in it. It's not that realistic. Like, not all men are terrible and rapists, and I don't think that's realistic at all. Like, it's just annoying, and it makes the book less accessible to people who have experienced sexual assault. So I was frustrated, but I'm going to continue on with the series because I really enjoyed the stories. So next, I read for Transfiguration, which was to read a book with a Animagus, which is to read a book with a shapeshifter in the book. I read Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. I gave this 5 stars. It was so good. Buddy read this with Charlotte from Charlotte May. Unfortunately, she did not like it as much as I did, but I just absolutely adored this. It was so cute and so whimsical, and I'm pretty sure it's like middle grade or young adult, but it feels like middle grade in that it's like so magical, and it's not heavy at all. It's just like light and fun and whimsical, and I don't know how many times I said whimsical, but it's so whimsical. And I just loved Sophie. I loved Howl. I loved Michael. I loved Calcifer. I can't believe that I never read this until now. Like, I loved Howl's Moving Castle, the Studio Ghibli movie, and I love this. So, yeah, I highly suggest this to people who like middle grade or just like whimsical writing. It's so good. It's so good. And then for Defense Against the Dark Arts, which is Grindylows, and that is to read a book set by the sea or the coast, I read To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo. I gave this 3.5 stars. So in the beginning, I wasn't really enjoying this. It took about 100 pages for me to start getting invested in the story. I wasn't hating it, but it felt a little bit like an edgelord retelling of Little Mermaid, which it is. It is like an edgelord retelling of Little Mermaid, but it's like, then it got into like the romance, and I was like hooked, because it's so good. Like, their dynamic. It's not like enemies to lovers. It's more like prisoner slash, no, not prisoners. Well, she is his prisoner for like a little while, but more like rivals to lovers. Yeah, rivals to lovers. Because I guess they're like technically enemies, but it's more like, yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. Please just ignore me. But the romance is so good. It's really good, and but I had a lot of problems with the world building. You can read my Goodreads review of this to get more of an idea of what I had a problem with, but the world building is really just not great, and kind of took me out of the story like a lot. But I liked the characters. I liked all the characters, even the bad ones. I liked them. I thought some of them were a little underdeveloped, but I enjoyed this. It wasn't a 5-star, it wasn't even a 4-star, but I did enjoy it. And that's that. So the next book I haven't technically finished, but I'm this much way through. I only have that much left. And it is Wilder Girls by Rory Power. So, I know I said I wasn't going to read this because it's a quarantine/plague book, but I was like chomping at the bit for something sapphic, and this is a library book, and I've gotten hints because I volunteer at the bookstore that's attached to the library. I got hints that the library is going to reopen like in the last week of May or early June. And I still haven't finished all my library books. I've had so much time to finish my library books, and I still have not. So I'm like, Wilder Girls is a library book, and it's sapphic, so I should pick it up. It's so good. The writing is fantastic. All the relationships are messy and complicated. Everyone's morally gray. I am just loving it. Like, so good. Like, couldn't recommend it enough. However, major warnings for body horror. Like, absolute content warning. Like, they should have stamped it on the front of this book that you should be aware that there is body horror, major character death, like self-harm. Just everyone in here is like messed up, and it's so I'm loving it so much. But yeah, if you can't handle like mutilation and body horror, which is mutilation falls under body horror, but like mutations, mutilation, self-harm, like all of that stuff, do not read this book. Like, do not even come towards it. Like, when you see it, go the other way, run away, because it is so prevalent, and I just don't want anybody to get triggered, because there's even stuff in here that I was like, oh. And I like body horror, but I can't do eyes, I can't do teeth, and I can't do feet. And like 2 of those things are very much in here. So yeah, loving Wilder Girls, and I will finish it by tonight, which is why I'm putting it in here. And this will probably be my next Woman Loving Women Wednesday pick, because Reese and Hetty, so good. Love them. Love Byatt. She's my horrible, morally gray baby. Yeah. So that's all for me for now. Comment down below if you read any of these and what you thought. Because I'm curious how people felt about The Last Wish, and how... don't do that. How people felt about To Kill a Kingdom. And just comment down below if you passed your owls, how far you're well, it's May 1st when I'm posting this, so I hope you passed your owls. If you didn't, though, it's not a big deal. Like, we all fail readathons. I failed so many readathons. I think this is the first readathon that I've not failed, and that's only because I had 5 books, so yeah. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!